Hey Quinn, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, so why don't we start off, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So hello everyone. My name is Quinn Tempest. I'm located in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm an entrepreneur and founder. So for years, really my experience was in corporate content marketing and digital marketing, but I've always really had a passion for small business owners and entrepreneurs. So really that's my focus now. And so for years, I focused on building really large scale digital strategies, content. I did branding, kind of all of those things that go into building a brand. And what I realized the more and more I worked with businesses, really at all scales, whether they were a solopreneur all the way up to the corporate level, is that oftentimes they were focused on so many surface level problems. You know, the falling profits, the marketing that wasn't really working, or all of the different things that they were trying to do, yet they felt like nothing was connected. And so after a while, I started realizing that they were focusing so much on the surface level that they had neglected to dive deep into the core of their brand, of their business, and especially for entrepreneurs, into the core of who they are as a human. And so I got really curious about, well, why are certain businesses succeeding and why are other entrepreneurs not? And I started just really thinking more about purpose and the idea of tapping into a deeper why, not just for your business, but on a personal level, is what motivates you to create things, what motivates you in your language to create an impact. And then how do you learn to bring that to life intentionally and strategically through your business? You know, instead of focusing on all the what's that you have going on, the marketing, the messaging, all of the what's, focusing more on the why and really getting clear on that, so you can lead from the inside out versus the outside in, which I think is what so many of us in business end up doing, because that's what we need to survive. But surviving isn't the same as thriving. So I guess that's my long-winded answer to say I help entrepreneurs uncover their unique purpose and learn how to bring that to life in everything that they do, really, both online and off.
I love that. And this is so important. So I'm excited to chat. So, how do we figure out what our purpose is?
Well, I think, you know, we're often taught from a young age, or at least I always heard this phrase, find your purpose.
Yeah,
Have you seen it probably
totally.
like on mugs at TJ Maxx and like inspirational prints that you can buy online? And I think for so long, I and so many of us have internalized that idea, is that we're just going to find our purpose at some point in our journey. You know, it's just going to maybe bonk us on the head in some quiet moment of meditation, or maybe when we're mature enough or old enough or wise enough, we'll suddenly have this instant knowing of what we're meant to do in this world. And that never happened for me. It's never happened to anyone that I've worked with. It didn't bonk me on my head. And so I started really getting curious about, well, how do we not just find it, but how do we decide it? How do we proactively decide what our purpose is and then go out and build it? Because I think there's a totally different feeling that comes from being a leader of your own life, of directing the current of where you want to go next. And especially for entrepreneurs like you and me, you know, we're the crazy people that want to direct the current, you know, like we don't want to just sit there and let the current take us wherever it's going to go. We want to actually direct it. And usually our business is the best vehicle for our purpose. So in the long and short of it, I think it's just knowing that there is no right or wrong purpose. There's no right or wrong why. You get to decide whatever is right for you, and that let that really guide you in building a business and an entire life that makes a true impact.
Cool. So, you have a purpose quiz. Can you talk
Yeah.
about that?
Yes. So, you know, I just wanted to do something fun because I often think purpose is kind of daunting. You know, I think talking about your why and your deeper reason for being and living is kind of a really heady thing.
Right.
And so I was like, well, how can we make this a little bit more fun, a little bit more lighthearted? And so I have always been fascinated because I come from a content marketing background of quizzes. You know, they're interactive, they're highly shareable, and people love them. You know, I've taken the Harry Potter quiz like 8 different times. I'm a Ravenclaw, by the way. And I just think they're a fun way to learn something about yourself. And I thought it would be the perfect tool, a reflection tool for people to think about their purpose. So last summer, I took probably 2 months to think about how can I kind of group all the different types of entrepreneurs I've met over the years into kind of overarching drives, you know, because I've met people who are all about empowerment, or I've met people who are all about creating things, or other people are all about helping people transform. And so I started thinking through all of the people I've met over the years, and I grouped them into what I call 8 purpose profiles. So there's the leader, there's the creator, there's the change maker, and a whole bunch of others. And so then I had to kind of reverse engineer, okay, this overarching drive, this purpose profile, and say, how can I create questions that then lead people to the personalized result that they'll get? And so I thought about all different things like values that we hold dear, or, you know, what our overarching drive is. And so I just came up with 12 questions. And of course, that's not a perfect diagnosis. If I could tell people what their purpose was, like in 12 questions, I would be a billionaire, but I'm not. And that's not how purpose works. So I just say it's a tool for reflection for you to identify something that feels true about yourself. And then I always encourage people, look at all the other, you know, 7 ones that you didn't get and say, what resonates from there? And how can that start to inform a deeper understanding of your purpose, which you can then bring to life through your content, through your messaging, through your business, through everything that you do.
Cool. So I took the quiz.
Did you?
Yeah, it was so fun.
Oh my gosh, I kind of want to guess what you got.
Guess it. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, it's tough because it depends on what your primary profile, your result would be. I would say you might be the leader, and then a secondary, which might be more like you just looking at them and deciding, is like a creator. Am I right at all?
I'm pretty sure it was like inspiring.
You're the inspiration.
Yeah.
That's a powerful one too. So the inspiration is really, that is their overarching drive, is to inspire others. Often that goes hand in hand with the creator, which is all about creating things that inspire others. So I always kind of tell people to pick 2. Like, I can't take my own quiz, but I think I would be the leader because I'm all about empowerment. But my secondary profile would be creator, because how I empower people is through helping them bring their ideas to life and to create something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'd be interested to kind of see, you know, A, did yours resonate with you? And B, did you have a chance to look at the others to see if there was one that felt right too?
It did, totally. I mean, that's kind of like what people always tell me, because I'll ask people, like, I remember before I knew this stuff, I would ask, like, what do you see in me that has helped, like on social media and stuff? I would ask that all the time, and they would always say like I inspired them. It wasn't like super intentional, like I'm just gonna go out and inspire everybody today, but that's kind of what people told me, and so I was like, all right, let's run with that.
I think that's interesting too, because sometimes other people can see the truth of us clearer than we can.
Totally.
I mean, not all the time. The people you trust, you should listen to. And so I think it's good to kind of listen to those things. And then, like you said, to think about it more intentionally, of say, you know, what in me is inspiring, or what is the drive that moves me to inspire? And then really what the purpose quiz is about is to help you harness that more purposefully, to say, okay, well, how can I build more inspiration into my business, into my content, into everything that I build? Because really, the more intentional you become, the more you actually stop trying to find your purpose and you actually start creating it.
Okay, so we know, like, we take the quiz, we figure out kind of what our purpose is. How do we really like implement this and put this into our businesses?
Yeah, well, I think purpose is not necessarily an end destination, it's a constant journey. So I think really it starts with reflection. It's just thinking about, does this purpose profile that you got from the quiz ring true? What resonates with me, and how can I harness this more intentionally? So I always like to recommend, especially because I work with my clients through this process of creating purpose, and I always recommend they look backwards first. So kind of the Greeks used to say this thing of know yourself and know thyself. I think they can't quite figure out what they actually said, but you have to kind of look back to the core of who you are to understand who you then can be. So I always lead people through kind of self-reflection, and then I help them also look forward. So after they look backwards, then look forward to say, well, what do I want to create? Not just in my business, but in my life as well, because I know the people that we work with, the people we talk with, they want their work to be more than just a job.
Yep.
Like we don't want to just show up and do the work. We want it to be an extension of the deeper truths of who we are. So kind of forecasting into the future and envisioning what that future self would be is a really powerful exercise to help you kind of start to move towards that. And then the third aspect of that is really actually declaring your purpose. And so I call this coming up with a purpose power phrase. And I have those on each of the purpose profiles to kind of help inspire people. But I think it really comes down to coming up with almost like a mantra-like statement that you can hold opportunities up to and say, does this client help me move towards my purpose? Or does this opportunity move me away from it? And it's not necessarily a mission statement, the things that we put on our website and our Instagram bios and all that. It's more of a deeper internal purpose that really can help ground you in that why. And then from there, it comes down to building it, to creating it, to extending it in everything that you do. And oftentimes you have to kind of take an inventory of everything you've got going on in your business and your life right now and ask, what do I need in order to create more alignment with my purpose, or what do I need to get rid of as well?
I think that's really important, just having that self-reflection of like, is taking on 10 private clients and like trading time for money, is this helping me actually live out my purpose, or is there a smarter way that you could actually monetize?
Yeah, exactly. I was working with a woman in my membership. Her name's Natasha, and she was going through something similar where she took an inventory of her current state of affairs. And one of the things she noticed was that she was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching. So she does Instagram strategy, and she would be so tired and drained after those calls. And, in other people's cases, that could be energizing. And so that was a really good clue for her to say, you know what, I think that in order for me to live out my purpose the most effective way that I can, I need to move towards more group coaching or group programs. Because she's like, that's just where I can help people most. And that's where I feel energized, not depleted. So really by getting clear on that deeper why, that purpose, she was able to make a business decision that felt very aligned with her truth. So although purpose is often taught in more of a self-development sense, I like to think of it more as part personal, part professional, and kind of the bridge between the two, especially for women entrepreneurs.
Well, I think they have to go together, like, because I'm 9 months pregnant right now. I'm due.
Are you?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'll show you my belly.
Oh my gosh. And you're on medicine ball.
I am. Yeah. I'm sitting on like the stability ball bouncing up and down. So I'm doing like 18 days.
Wow.
And a lot of people are asking me like, how are you going to run your business and everything? And I've set up my business where like realistically, I only have committed 5 hours a month of like either group coaching or client work or something like that.
That's
so like when the baby comes, like it'll be really easy for me to have that transition because I don't have 10 hours of like private coaching calls a week or something like that. And so looking at both of those, like your personal life, who do you want to show up as? Like for me, I want to be a really great mom and have a really killer business and make an impact that way too. And so for me, like looking at how much time commitment do I want? Like, do I want to be trading time for money and that kind of thing? I think is
I think you touch on something so powerful. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
But just like how you're thinking through proactive, not just time management, but like how you need to manage your energy, because that is such a huge life change. And it's something that I'm thinking about. I'm probably within a year and a half or so, we're going to start getting serious. And I'm trying to set up my business now to do that.
Yep.
But it takes a lot of intentional thought and foreplanning
Totally.
that I don't think we're really taught. We're
No.
yeah, like I've
Really
never
not.
been taught to be like, okay, where's my time going? Where's my energy going? What did I accept into my life unthinkingly that now overruns my energy and time? And how can I root myself back in what's important to me? Which, you just said it's important for me to have a family that I'm committed to, but a badass business too. And that takes a lot of clarity and a lot of work to actually build.
Totally. But it's so doable. I think a lot of people think it's like impossible, to have a great business and make great money and have a great family life. One of my private
Yeah.
clients actually, she like all she wanted to do was be a mom. And so she has 3 kids under the age of 4,
Wow.
which is crazy. Like, bless her heart. I could not. I could not. But she's just an amazing person. And she's making more now in her business than she did at her corporate job in accounting, working 10 hours a week
Wow.
because she's set up these systems and she's really figured out like, hey, I want to be a great mom and put my family first, and being able to outsource and delegate and have great systems in place. So her business doesn't require a ton of her time, but she's still making great money and helping a lot of people.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And I kind of built a framework because, I even got my trademark a couple weeks ago for create your purpose. So I'm
Nice.
super excited. It took about 8 months.
They take
Uh,
forever. Oh my gosh.
uh, it was long, but I was excited when I got it. And, when I got that, I wanted to really firm up what this idea was. And so I built a framework to kind of help people understand, well, how do you create your purpose? How do you go from kind of frazzled to fulfilled, kind of the transformation that you're talking that she went through. And so it starts off with that clarify stage, which we aren't taught in school. I think I've learned it mainly from yoga and
We
from
don't learn anything important in school.
that's
It's like
true.
the essentials you need for life. Like, they just kind of send you on your way and you got to figure
I
it out.
know. I wish, yeah, I'm always fascinated with that of just how much I didn't learn and how
Yeah,
much I had to teach myself and how much, especially when I have a kid, like I want to change things for them so that they don't have to
totally.
go through such a long internal battle and traumas. And, like, why do we have to hustle so hard to get to a place where we feel empowered?
Yeah,
It's just not fair.
for sure.
So, but yeah, so it starts off with clarify, and exactly what we're talking about is getting clear. And then the next stage is strategize. And I think that is the missing link that a lot of entrepreneurs don't do is they don't think about, okay, how I know who I am, I know where I want to go. Now, how do I build an action plan and a strategy to get there? And I think that's where a lot of ideas die. That's where a lot of great impact is lost
Yeah.
because there's no action. The purpose isn't married with a plan.
Hmm.
And you have to be able to take incremental steps every step of the way. And then after that, then you get to the fun stuff that we all always talk about, like building your Instagram, building your website. It's the build stage,
Yeah.
creating all those things that communicate your purpose and create it. And then the final stage, which we've kind of touched on when you talked about systems, is align. And that's how do you align your time and your energy with the things that most bring your purpose to life. And that can take a long time. I feel like I've been in my business over almost 10 years, about 9, 10, and I'm only there now.
Yeah.
And I now like want to help other people get there quicker because this is really that big magic stage. This is that stage of empowerment when you can really spend more time and energy on the things that light you up and truly make an impact and make a difference. And that's an exciting place to be, but you have to do a lot of work to get there.
Totally. So it took you 10 years to kind of get to this place. I think that's really important to note because a lot of people start their business and they wonder, like, why isn't this taking off right away? Why isn't this
Right.
happening like a month or two down the road, And like, it takes time, a lot
For
of growth,
sure.
a lot of time.
Yeah, I think you're always optimistic and hungry in the beginning, and you usually have a pretty clear vision on where you want to go. You just don't realize that it's going to take you a long time to get there.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm trying to do with creating this framework and everything in my business is to help accelerate it at least,
Yeah.
because I've seen the pitfalls along the way in my own life, in business, and in my clients' lives and businesses So, I think there's power in community. There's power in having conversations like this and podcasts like this, is just sharing our experiences more openly and not just the pretty parts of it, like the laying on the floor crying because you didn't fill your course part and now you don't know what to do next, like a couple weeks ago for me. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you can learn from other people's mistakes, then you don't have to make the same ones necessarily yourself.
yeah, or at least you have a framework to kind of understand how to move through it more healthfully, sustainably, without the hustle.
Totally.
Yeah.
What's one of the best books that you've read?
Well, I kind of mentioned it with one of the words I use, but Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yeah,
Have you read it?
I did years ago, like probably
Yeah.
8 years ago.
I think it's become one of my once a year reads
Yeah.
just because it does tap into the idea of alignment with your purpose. And I also really enjoy how she approaches creativity. She approaches it as a process, not a result.
Yeah.
And she's all about just like throwing clay at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I think so often entrepreneurs, especially women, we get in our own way so often
Totally.
because we're worried about not getting it right. And I'm using air quotes right now because there's really no right or wrong. There's just different actions that lead to different outcomes.
Yeah.
But so often we can hold ourselves back by not even trying anything because we're scared of either failing or somehow getting off the mark. And so in Big Magic, she really talks about kind of approaching your life like a creative work of art, laying the foundation, throwing some paint on, adding some glitter, and just seeing what happens. So that really aligns with just my philosophy of experimenting and creating and
just takes the
trying things out.
pressure off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have so much pressure anyway as women. Like, why add more to it just on our own?
Yeah.
So just having some fun with life. And then, so that's kind of more on the personal side, but on the business side, I just randomly was in an like used bookstore. I saw this orange book and it was called Life Entrepreneurs. And so I picked it up, I read it, and it just, those kind of books where you just like get goosebumps reading it because you're just like nodding your head yes, and you're like, this is exactly what I wanted to say, but you said it better and I didn't say it first. That was that book. And it's all about really marrying the professional and personal and purpose and letting your purpose drive your business. Although they don't use the word purpose, and that was kind of my phrase, but it's all about that deeper why coming to life through your work. And so kind of those two books were really formative for me in Create Your Purpose, which is my brand, and the quiz, and just this whole framework to help entrepreneurs move from powerless to purposeful. So those are a couple of my favorite ones.
Cool. What does it mean to you to make an impact?
What it means to me to make an impact is to really dig deep into who you are and then harness the power of purpose in order to bring it to life and to make a difference. For me personally, the way I do that is through empowerment. It's really through empowering other people, whether it's with inspiration or ideas or education, to uncover their purpose and then learn how to strategically build that into their business. So for me, it's really helping people transform into a purpose-driven entrepreneur and a human. And it's been really rewarding to see when that transformation happens, whether it's big, whether it's small. It's just when we can move the needle a little bit and help people feel more powerful and purposeful. I just think bringing ideas to life is, what makes me tick, and helping other people do that. Just for me, that's the impact I want to make.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's something I didn't ask you, but I should have?
Oh gosh. I don't know. We covered a lot. I think the only thing is, I don't know. Actually, you did cover quite a bit.
Any last words of wisdom?
Any last words of wisdom? Well, I think just to kind of capture what we've talked about in this podcast is you don't find your purpose, you create it. You don't have to wait for someone to tell you what it is or for some magical knowing to come upon you. you really have the power to dig deep into who you are and to bring that to life through anything that you do. So just remember that you don't have to wait. You can go out and create it.
Nice. Where can
Yeah.
we connect with you?
Well, I'm on Instagram way too much, so feel free to join me there. I'm at quinn.tempest, and I'm always posting stories. I do a series of Tip Tuesdays where I provide some really useful tips there. And then my website has the quiz if anyone's interested in finding out their profile. And just let me know what you get, because I'm always fascinated by everyone's results and what they respond with.
We'll make sure to put all that in the show notes. Well, thank you so much, Quinn, for being on the podcast and sharing your expertise with us. I really appreciate it.